She raised her head and looked straight into his eyes. The truth is already in my hands. Chairman. Her voice no longer trembled. Her eyes were filled with firm resolve. Seo-yeon pointed to a complex graph on a tablet PC. Jun-woo listened to her explanation with a serious expression. Taesung Construction. The company run by team leader Park's cousin, he said with cold certainty. Then this money must have found its way back into team leader Park's hands. On paper, it was disguised as a legitimate transaction. But in the end, it was money embezzled from the group. At 33 years old, Han Seo-yeon was a name synonymous with genius. She had graduated at the top of her class from a prestigious university's architecture program and was quickly recognized as a future leader of the group. However, the label of genius became a shackle and a target of jealousy rather than a source of glory. In the male-dominated, conservative culture of Daehan Construction, her outstanding abilities were met with suspicion instead of praise, and her quiet, diligent nature was mistaken for weakness. Team leader Park, in particular, saw her talent as an eyesore and seized every opportunity to belittle and trample her. Yes, Chairman, this is not simple embezzlement, it's a money laundering process. And it's highly likely that the money embezzled this way is being used as illegal lobbying funds for Daehan Construction's other projects. That day was no exception. In the late afternoon, summoned to Team Leader Park's office away from her colleagues' eyes, Seo-yeon felt her heart turn to ice. Sitting behind a heavy mahogany desk, Team Leader Park chewed on a thick cigar, his face a mask of scorn and mockery. Seo-yeon's analysis was sharp and precise. Jun-woo was once again impressed by her abilities. She wasn't just a talented architect, she had an extraordinary ability to find the truth within a complex mess of data. She was like a hunter tracking the truth in the shadows. Deputy Han, about the Buka Resort Project, his rough voice boomed through the office. The Buka Resort Project. Seo-yeon swallowed. The project was notorious within the group, a dead endeavor that had been stalled for years due to government environmental regulations and local protests. Jun-woo gave Seo-yeon even more authority. He appointed her as the chief auditor of all Daehan construction projects. And she used that authority to meticulously go through all the documents of the projects Team Leader Park had been involved in. Her moves were fearless, and as they were, Team Leader Park's anger and anxiety reached their peak. The chairman has recently shown a special interest. You will handle this project by yourself. Team Leader Park began to question Seo-yeon's sudden promotion. He instinctively knew that she was moving with a different purpose than simply being the chairman's favorite. He ordered his right-hand man, Executive Director Lee, to dig into Seo-yeon's background. Executive Director Lee was deeply involved in Team Leader Park's corruption and knew all of his secrets. Team Leader, Park's words were a sharp blade hidden within a soft wrapping. By yourself didn't mean freedom. It meant she would have to face all the blame and failure alone, without any help. Seo-yeon met his gaze directly. Her eyes were unwavering, but a tumultuous wave crashed in her heart. Find out what Seo-yeon is up to. We need to nip this in the bud before she can harm us. Understood. Team Leader. Her voice was so calm that it made him believe she was unaware of the trap. But Seo-yeon knew. This project wasn't a test of her ability. It was Team Leader Park's final move to erase her from the company forever. Following Team Leader Park's order, Executive Director Lee began to hover around Seo-yeon. He bribed her colleagues to monitor her every move and tried to access her computer. But Seo-yeon was already aware of their actions. Following Jun-woo's advice, she stored all important data offline and planted decoy files on her computer to fool them. She was no longer a naive victim. She was a strategist who could anticipate their every move. As she left the office, faint laughter followed her, piercing her back like a knife. Team Leader Park is toying with Deputy Han. What can you do? Women who act so proud need to be put in their place. The malicious whispers of her colleagues felt like daggers in her back. Seo-yeon showed no reaction and returned to her desk. The monitor's light made her tired face look even paler. One day, after Seo-yeon had left work, Executive Director Lee secretly broke into her office. He tried to hack her computer, but all he could access were the meaningless dummy files she had intentionally left behind. Executive Director Lee let out a hollow laugh as he left the office. That woman is smarter than I thought. He regretted his arrogance in underestimating Seo-yeon. As night fell and her colleagues left one by one, Seo-yeon remained motionless in her chair. A chaotic mess of intricate blueprints and documents lay scattered before her. She was once a person filled with pure passion for this work, with dreams of building structures and changing people's lives. But now, what lay before her wasn't a dream. It was a trap designed to suffocate her. He reported to Team Leader Park. Team Leader, Han Seo-yeon, is a much more dangerous person than we thought. She seems to know everything. She is definitely in some kind of alliance with the chairman. Finally, she packed her things and left the office. The city was already shrouded in darkness, and Seoul's nightscape glittered brilliantly. But the lights offered her no comfort. Instead, they seemed to amplify her solitude. She desperately wanted to escape it all, if only for a moment, a simple space without complex calculations or vile politics. Executive Director Lee's report amplified Team Leader Park's anxiety. He realized that Seo-yeon was not the chairman's pet, but a killer sent to take him down. He could no longer just watch. He began to look for ways to eliminate Seo-yeon's existence forever. But he didn't know. The more he threatened Seo-yeon, the greater Junwoo's anger grew behind her. It started to rain. One drop, then two, until it became a heavy downpour. Seo-yeon, without an umbrella, began to walk aimlessly. In the enormous city, she looked as fragile as a lost child. The raindrops pelted her shoulders and face, but she didn't care. The physical pain seemed to dull her emotional torment. Seo-yeon had anticipated Executive Director Lee's movements and Team Leader Park's anxiety. She reported her analysis to Junwoo. Team Leader Park will now move more aggressively. His power won't just be limited to pressuring me. He might even threaten my safety. After walking for a long time, she found a small bar nestled in a quiet alley. Forest of Silence. The name suggested a quiet, cozy place. And it was. She opened the door and stepped inside. The interior was filled with warm lighting and soft jazz music. There were a few customers, but they were all lost in their own worlds, paying no attention to her. She took a seat at the counter. Junwoo's expression hardened at her words. He offered to assign her a bodyguard for her safety, but Seo-yeon refused. That will only confirm to them how important the evidence I have is, and how important I am. I want them to continue to underestimate me. What can I get for you? At Seo-yeon's firm stance, Junwoo respected her decision. He handed her a device for secret communication. If you are ever in danger, press this button. I will be there to help you within 5 minutes. His eyes were full of concern, but also deep trust in her. A low, gentle voice. She looked up, and a man in a neat shirt stood before her. His name tag read Kim Junwoo. His charm went beyond just being handsome. He exuded a deep, calm aura. His eyes were incredibly serene, as if they could hold all her turbulent emotions. Seo-yeon carried out her plan with Junwoo's unwavering support. She began to meet with all the people involved in Team Leader Park's network, one by one. Instead of directly pressuring them, she played on their guilt and fear. Her calm and cold approach confused Team Leader Park's subordinates, and they began to doubt each other. Anything. The strongest you have? Seo-yeon's voice was hoarse. Junwoo smiled silently and placed a glass of water in front of her first. He then slowly assessed her. His gaze felt as if it were seeing right through her, but it wasn't uncomfortable at all. Instead, it offered a sense of ease that melted away her defenses. The war in the shadows had begun. On one side, an arrogant executive with a massive network of corruption. On the other, a strong team leader with only the truth. And behind them was the giant shadow that saw through it all, Chairman Kim Junwoo. Seo-yeon's quiet movements were like the eye of a great storm, and that storm was slowly approaching Team Leader Park and his empire. He poured a glass of smooth whiskey instead of a strong drink. Sometimes, a gentle touch heals a deep wound better than a strong one. Strong alcohol only makes you forget the pain for a moment. It will hurt more the next morning. Han Seo-yeon's quiet assault began to create cracks in Team Leader Park's empire. She didn't publicly criticize or attack him. Instead, from behind the massive shield of the chairman's full support, she began to unravel the threads of truth they had hidden, one by one. Like a spider weaving its web, she laid out her strategy quietly and meticulously. Her goal wasn't just to bring down Team Leader Park. She wanted to dismantle his entire network of corruption. Seo-yeon didn't respond and took a sip of the whiskey. The warm liquid flowed down her throat, slowly thawing her frozen heart. She didn't sense any mockery or pity from him. He simply accepted her presence as it was. She found the weakest link among Team Leader Park's subordinates, his personal secretary, Lee Min-ho. Lee Min-ho knew all of Team Leader Park's illegal dealings and secrets, but at the same time, he was tormented by anxiety about his future and a sense of guilt. Seo-yeon didn't approach him directly. Instead, she observed the cafe he frequented, his daily routine, and the books he read. She studied his psychology, waiting for the moment when he would be most vulnerable. "It's raining heavily," Junwoo said quietly. One day, a rumor spread that Lee Min-ho had fallen into a huge debt after a failed stock market investment. Team Leader Park ordered him to do an even riskier and more illegal job, and Lee Min-ho was in no position to refuse. That night, he left work with a look of despair on his face. Seo-yeon didn't miss her chance. She staged a chance encounter with him at a street food stall he often visited. "Yes, Lee Min-ho, you look very unwell these days. Sometimes a rainy day is nice. The world seems to stop for a moment, and the sound of the rain makes you feel less lonely." Seo-yeon's voice was gentle, but Lee Min-ho was startled. He looked at her warily. "What does it matter to you?" "Team Leader Han." She nodded in agreement. It was true. The rain muffled the city's noise, allowing her to listen to her own inner voice. "That's exactly how I feel right now," Seo-yeon said with a bitter laugh. "It feels like the world is moving too fast without me." Seo-yeon quietly sat down next to him and poured him a drink. "It doesn't. It's just that the shadow on your face looks so much like my own past." Her sincere words began to break down Lee Min-ho's guard. Junwoo wasn't surprised by her words. He calmly accepted her story. "Maybe the world isn't moving fast. Maybe your clock has just paused for a moment. Perhaps you are just taking a breath to see things others can't." She shared her own story of being harassed by Team Leader Park and the moments when she wanted to give up everything. Her honest confession resonated with him. He didn't reveal everything to her, but she sensed how much he was suffering and that he wanted to escape from Team Leader Park's grasp. His words struck a chord in Seo-yeon's heart. Only then did she truly look at him. He wasn't just an ordinary bartender. His eyes and voice held a deep insight that could see into a person's soul. He had accurately pinpointed her frustration and despair. "The path you're on right now is leading to a cliff's edge. Team Leader Park will not save you. All he wants is your loyalty and for you to sacrifice everything to protect him." "Do you know me?" Seo-yeon asked cautiously. Seo-yeon's words pierced Lee Min-ho's heart. He finally broke down and cried. He promised to tell her everything. He had decisive evidence that Team Leader Park had created a massive slush fund through a secret overseas bank account. "No, this is our first time meeting," Junwoo replied with a smile. "But your eyes tell me everything. They are the eyes of someone fighting a very complicated and difficult battle." Lee Min-ho's testimony provided Seo-yeon with new puzzle pieces. She now knew that Team Leader Park's network wasn't just limited to the domestic market, but was entangled with an international corruption network. A shiver ran down her spine. This could be a much bigger battle, one that even Chairman Junwoo might have a hard time handling. She felt there was no need to hide her emotions anymore. "I've been hated just for being talented. People who disliked me tried to ruin everything I did. Now, I don't even know what I'm fighting for anymore. I just want to give up." She headed to Junwoo's office to report the evidence she had obtained from Lee Min-ho. But at that moment, a text message arrived on her phone. The sender was Lee Jung-hoon from the IT team. Junwoo listened to her in silence. His face showed no judgment, only deep empathy. When he spoke again, his voice was even more serious. "Team Leader, be careful. Team Leader Park is accessing the decoy file on your computer. Something is not right. It seems to be under the chairman's orders. If you look for a reason to give up, the world will throw 1,000 reasons at you. But if you start looking for a reason to endure, a single reason is enough to make you strong." Seo-yeon's hand trembled. Lee Jung-hoon was one of the few people who had helped her. But his message confused her. The chairman's orders. Why would Junwoo want to access her computer? She was filled with suspicion that she might have trusted Junwoo too easily. He spoke of his life as a bartender. He met countless people every night, listened to their stories, and sometimes offered comfort and advice. "The reason I do this is the same. There are all kinds of people in the world. To them, I'm just a wall they can lean on for a moment. I don't want to reveal my identity or show off my abilities. Just, in this moment, doing my best to be there for someone in a difficult time. That is my reason for enduring." She stopped in front of Junwoo's office door. The USB in her hand no longer felt like a sword of justice, but a blade that would lead to her own ruin. Had he approached her to get her evidence and then eliminate her? Was all of this a highly calculated strategy to take advantage of her naivety? Seo Yeon was deeply moved by his words. What he did might seem small, but the sincerity and philosophy behind it felt more valuable than any grand success. His words didn't offer her a grand solution. Instead, they created a gentle ripple in her heart, reawakening the pure passion and pride she had forgotten. She didn't open Junwoo's office door and headed for the elevator instead. She decided to confront Lee Jung-hoon about all this. He was her only hope. She tried to call him, but his phone was disconnected. Her anxiety reached its peak. At the heart of Seoul, where the Han River curves, stood the towering headquarters of Daehan Group, a skyscraper of glass and steel. This imposing building seemed to loom over the city like a giant's hand, exuding a heavy pressure. Yet, pressure often starts at the lowest levels. In a secluded corner of the planning team, on the ground floor of Daehan Construction, Han Seo-yeon felt the weight of that immense pressure pressing down on her shoulders. Seo-yeon went to Lee Jung-hoon's office. When she opened the door, it was empty. But a small note on his desk caught her eye. "Team leader, I'm sorry. All of this was my plan. Please don't forgive me." She put down the empty whiskey glass. She no longer needed strong alcohol. The despair that had spread in her heart was fading, replaced by a small but firm sense of hope. She thanked him. Seo-yeon was in shock. Lee Jung-hoon, approaching Lee Min-ho and helping her were all on Team Leader Park's orders. This whole thing was a grand scheme by Team Leader Park to trap her. She had been betrayed again. Her pure heart and belief in justice were once again mocked. "When you come again, I will serve you something even better," Junwoo said with a smile. She felt his smile would stay with her for a long time. Tears welled up in her eyes. She couldn't trust anyone anymore. She was alone in this vast hunting ground. She knew now. Lee Min-ho's testimony must have also been a lure from Team Leader Park. He was trying to pull her deeper into his trap. When she opened the door and stepped outside, the rain had stopped. A clear moon hung in the sky, and the wet asphalt shimmered in its light. She no longer felt cold or lonely. She knew now. Team Leader Park's vile trap was not meant to break her, but to be an opportunity to prove her true worth. Seo-yeon crumpled the note in her hand and thought deeply. She would not be defeated. She would overcome all this betrayal and despair. She had to create her own plan instead of relying on Lee Min-ho's testimony. She would use the trap Team Leader Park had set against him and attack him when he least expected it. She walked on in her wet clothes. This time, she wasn't walking aimlessly. Her steps were firm, and her eyes were steady. She was going back to the office to face the dead project once again in the empty office. She was no longer alone. She had discovered the hidden strength within herself, a strength strong enough to break through any obstacle. She smiled quietly in the darkness. Her smile was no longer one of pure hope. It was the smile of a cold and ruthless strategist. She didn't trust anyone anymore. She trusted only herself, and she would be the winner of this game. In the dead of night, Han Seo-yeon returned to the Daehan Construction office. The building was empty, and only the echo of her footsteps filled the hallway. Her clothes, soaked by the previous night's rain, had dried, but the new flame that had ignited in her heart hadn't gone out. She sat at her desk and turned on the monitor. Her face was no longer filled with despair or fatigue. In their place were a firm resolve and a calm focus. She had decided to fight instead of flee. A cold fury enveloped Seo-yeon's heart. The tears in her eyes had already dried, replaced by a steely resolve. The fact that Lee Min-ho's testimony was a trap and that Lee Jung-hoon was Team Leader Park's mole was a deep wound. But it also sharpened her mind. She was no longer a naive girl chasing justice. She was a solitary hunter who had to find her own way in a vast labyrinth of betrayal. She reopened the folder for the Dead Buka Resort project, a project Team Leader Park had thrown at her. A vast amount of long-neglected documents lay before her eyes. Government environmental assessment reports, local resident petitions, countless legal papers, and endless financial reports. Most people would have given up at the sight of this dreadful pile of documents. But Seo-yeon was different. To her, this was like an unbreakable code. She began to decipher it. She slowly unfolded the note Lee Jung-hoon had left. "Team Leader, I'm sorry. All of this was my plan. Please don't forgive me." And below it, in smaller handwriting, as if it were Lee Jung-hoon's last message, It read, "They will report to the chairman. The USB is a fake." First, she reviewed the superficial documents. The ridiculously inflated budget for the project's size, the funds spent on vague expenses, and the incomprehensible complex transaction structures caught her eye. She didn't think this was simple waste or inefficient management. A painful gut feeling, combined with the harassment of the past few days, whispered another possibility to her. This wasn't a simple failure. It was an intentional fraud. Fake. Seo-yeon's heart sank. She hadn't considered the possibility that the evidence Lee Min-ho had given her was fabricated. She was about to take that USB to Chairman Kim Jun-woo. If she had done so, she would have been cornered by team leader Park and his crew. Was Lee Jung-hoon's last message, in the midst of his betrayal. A final shred of conscience to save her, Seo-yeon couldn't be sure, but she decided to believe in his last clue. Seo-yeon began to work through the night. She sat with a cup of coffee and pieced together the scattered puzzle. Her eyes were sharp and precise. She discovered dozens of shell company names. These companies seemed to have no direct connection to the project, but their names were always on the list of Daehan Construction's subcontractors. She began to track the owners of these companies and the flow of their funds. She immediately returned to her office and connected the USB to her computer. Instead of the data she was expecting about Team Leader Park's slush fund, the USB contained old financial documents from Daehan Group and a few simple files from some shell companies. It was not the decisive evidence that could bring down Team Leader Park. Rather, it was fabricated evidence designed to slander her and make her look like she was reporting false information to the chairman. As the sun rose, the office came back to life. Her colleagues arrived one by one, and their stares still stung. But Seo-yeon was completely unaware of their gazes. As if she were the only person in the world, she focused solely on the numbers and letters on her monitor. Her concentration was like a giant rock, neutralizing all the noise and distractions around her. "So, Team Leader Park, this is your trap." During the morning meeting, Team Leader Park spoke to Seo-yeon with a sneer. "How's the Buka project going, Deputy Han? Don't waste your precious time on useless things. If you're going to give up, do it quickly." A cold smile spread across Seo-yeon's lips. Team Leader Park must have thought that in her desperate situation of having lost everything, she would present the fabricated evidence to the chairman and destroy her own standing. He must have thought he could turn Seo-yeon into a useless puppet and separate her from Kim Jun-woo. But Seo-yeon now saw through his plan. Seo-yeon calmly replied, "I'm reviewing the initial project documents. I have nothing to report yet." Her voice was so composed that Team Leader Park was momentarily flustered. He had expected her to be defeated, or at least in despair. But her eyes were firmer and more confident than ever. Team Leader Park couldn't hide his displeasure and cleared his throat. "All right, just don't waste any more time. Don't forget, you're handling this project by yourself. But your plan will lead to your own downfall." After the meeting, Team Leader Park returned to his office with a cynical smile. The chairman is naive to think he can clean up the company with a girl like her. He considered Seo-yeon his easiest prey. He was convinced that no matter how hard she struggled, she would never escape his grasp. She immediately began to formulate a new plan. She decided to use the fabricated evidence that Team Leader Park would use to corner her as a weapon to attack him in return. Based on the fake evidence on the USB, she prepared a plausible report. The report seemed to point to Team Leader Park's embezzlement and slush fund creation, but she intentionally hid subtle logical flaws and errors throughout it. The report looked perfect on the surface, but an expert would easily be able to tell that it was fabricated. But Seo-yeon was not the person he thought she was. As soon as the meeting ended, she sat back down at her computer and continued her investigation. She asked a junior colleague from the IT team for help. Lee Jung-hoon from the IT team was one of the few who respected Seo-yeon. He readily agreed to her request and secretly provided her with the old financial data and server access logs she needed. Based on this report, Seo-yeon requested an emergency board meeting. She didn't contact Chairman Jun-woo directly. He was her shadow and her shield. She didn't want to burden him. She wanted to end this game on her own terms. After days and nights of investigation, Seo-yeon faced a shocking truth. Team Leader Park had been pocketing the inflated project budget by funneling the money through his own dummy companies. These companies were not only used to embezzle funds, but were also connected to some of Daehan Group's subcontractors, extending his reach to other projects within the group. This was not a simple case of embezzlement, but a vast network of corruption that was shaking the very foundation of Daehan Group. But Chairman Jun-woo was already aware of her every move. He had sensed that she had discovered Lee Jung-hoon's betrayal. From his office, he was receiving real-time reports of her actions. Seeing her act independently without contacting him, he was once again impressed by her strength. He didn't know what her plan was, but he trusted her. She wasn't looking for any help from him. She wanted nothing but her own victory. As she got closer to the truth, team leader Park's interference became more subtle and malicious. Colleagues, acting on his orders, tried to infect her computer with a virus and even stole and damaged her documents. One day, they tried to drug her coffee to incapacitate her. Fortunately, Seo-yeon trusted her gut and didn't drink the coffee. Her composure and sharp senses protected her from numerous dangers. On the day of the board meeting, a tense atmosphere hung over the top-floor conference room of the Daehan Group headquarters. Team leader Park entered the room with a relaxed smile. His loyal executives were seated beside him. Their eyes were filled with mockery toward Seo-yeon and the expectation that she would soon be ruined. Deputy Han, have you seen this document? Chairman Kim Jun-woo sat at the head of the table, watching the meeting with a calm expression. His eyes were full of deep mystery and cold intellect. He didn't even look at Seo-yeon. This was an intentional act to protect her from team leader Park and his followers. One afternoon, a middle-aged man approached Seo-yeon's desk. It was Kim, a section chief from the finance team who had been with Daehan Construction for a long time. He handed her an old file. This document should have been discarded a long time ago, but I found it while cleaning up. I thought it might be of some help since you're handling the Bullied project. Team leader Han, what is the reason for this emergency board meeting? Team leader Park said, barely suppressing a sneer. He was confident that Seo-yeon had fallen into his trap. Seo-yeon carefully accepted the file. In Section Chief Kim's eyes, she read both anxiety and a subtle pity. He was one of the many people who had long known about team leader Park's corruption, but were too afraid to speak up. He couldn't help her directly, but he was implicitly giving her a warning and a small seed of hope. Seo-yeon calmly rose from her seat and walked to the podium. In her hand was the report she had prepared. Team leader Park, chairman, and members of the board, for the sake of Daehan Group's transparent management and future, I would like to present an urgent report regarding the allegations of corruption against team leader Park. Seo-yeon took the documents and immediately went to the restroom. She checked her surroundings in the mirror before opening the file. It was an internal audit report from Daehan Group from 10 years ago. The report contained vague records about the inflated budget of the Bullied project. And on that report was a signature. Team leader Park's name was clearly etched on it. The conference room buzzed with her words. Team leader Park outwardly acted angry, but he was smiling inwardly. She finally took the bait, he thought. So, it was a shadow from the past. Seo-yeon began to read the report. Her voice was steady, and her eyes shone with confidence. She systematically explained the shell companies and the flow of the slush fund that team leader Park had created. Her presentation seemed perfectly structured, but she intentionally included small logical errors throughout her presentation. Team leader Park thought she was making mistakes and couldn't hide his mocking smile. Seo-yeon carefully copied the documents and returned the original to Section Chief Kim. She bowed her head to thank him, and he simply patted her on the shoulder without a word. That small gesture gave Seo-yeon great strength. She was no longer alone. Even among the silent majority, there were people who were rooting for her. When the presentation was over, team leader Park stood up as if he had been waiting for this moment. Team leader Han, what is this nonsense report? You are spreading false information about me. That night, Seo-yeon finally found the last puzzle piece. She had a decisive piece of evidence that one of the shell companies she had been tracking was connected to a secret bank account in team leader Park's name. This evidence was not just a financial report, but an official public document. She backed up all the data onto a USB drive and wore it around her neck like a necklace. Now, all she needed was the right timing to reveal all the evidence to the world. Seo-yeon calmly replied to team leader Park's furious reaction. Team leader Park, all the evidence I've submitted is on this USB. The evidence doesn't lie. Please verify it yourself. However, that very night, her office was broken into. Someone forcibly turned on her computer and tried to delete all her work files. Fortunately, she had already backed up everything, so there was no major damage. But this incident sent a clear warning to her. Team leader Park had caught on to her actions and was now willing to do anything to get rid of her. Seo Yeon placed the USB on the table. Team leader. Park's eyes flickered. He couldn't hide his glee that Seo Yeon had brought the fabricated USB to him herself. He immediately ordered his secretary to check the USB. After a moment, the secretary whispered in Team Leader Park's ear, "Team leader, this USB is a fake. It's not the data we took from the team leader's computer." Seo Yeon stood in the middle of the empty office, breathing in the cold air. She knew now. This fight was not just about proving her ability, it was a matter of survival. Her inner self was no longer that of a weak girl. It had become as hard as steel, strong enough not to be shaken by any attack. She would now be like a relentless hound, biting at Team Leader Park's heels and never letting go. And she had one secret weapon that he didn't know about. Team Leader Park's face turned white. "This can't be! Lee Jung-hoon betrayed me." His mind was in a state of chaos. He realized that Seo Yeon had known everything. He hadn't fallen into his own trap. He had been struck by her counterattack. She smiled quietly in the darkness. Her smile was that of a warrior foretelling victory. Seo Yeon read the fear on Team Leader Park's face. She smiled at him. "Team Leader Park, you've realized that my report contains logical errors. You underestimated my abilities." Han Seo-yeon looked down at the black velvet invitation in her hand. The Daehan Group's 50th anniversary charity gala. It was a lavish ball for the upper class, the pinnacle of opulence. She had never imagined she would be invited to such an event. The sender of the invitation was none other than Team Leader Park of Daehan Construction. She knew his intentions. He was pretending to acknowledge her as part of the group, while simultaneously luring her to a stage of public ridicule and humiliation. She was preparing a decisive blow that would pierce his heart when he least expected it. Her real evidence wasn't on the USB, it was in her mind and in the shadow behind her. She was no longer a girl holding the sword of justice. She was a cold-hearted strategist who manipulated the truth and played with her enemies in the shadows. "This is a warning from him," Seo-yeon muttered bitterly. He wanted to control even her private life. This invitation was a symbol of Team Leader Park's arrogant victory, mocking all her hard work and the truth she had uncovered. But Seo-yeon decided not to run away. Just as she had resolved the night before, she would no longer hide in their shadow. If they wanted to publicly humiliate her, she would surprise them all on that very stage. And then Chairman Kim Jun-woo spoke quietly. His voice was so powerful that it silenced all the noise in the conference room. "Team Leader Park, don't try to lie anymore. All your actions have already been within my sight." On the day of the gala, Seo-yeon went straight to a hair salon after work. Instead of her usual simple and neat office look, she chose a deep navy dress that elegantly accentuated her figure. The chic, high-neck design and luxurious silk fabric highlighted her intellectual and calm charm. She styled her hair into a neat low ponytail and applied light makeup, something she rarely did. The person reflected in the mirror looked like a different person. She wasn't flashy, but she exuded a sense of strength and grace. That night, she decided to be not just Han Seo-yeon, but a professional and a dignified woman on that stage. His words froze everyone, including Team Leader Park. Only then did they realize this was not a game orchestrated by a small person named Han Seo-yeon, but a massive net cast by Chairman Kim Jun-woo. And that net had already completely enclosed Team Leader Park and his empire. The hotel ballroom where the event was held was already bustling with people. Grand chandeliers filled the ceiling, and men and women adorned with expensive jewelry gathered in small groups, chatting. All this splendor felt alien to Seo-yeon. She stood quietly in a corner of the ballroom, like a foreigner. "Hey, Deputy Han, there you are." Seo-yeon froze when she heard Team Leader Park's voice. He approached her with a few middle-aged men. His face was full of arrogance and satisfaction. He introduced Seo-yeon to the others. "This is Deputy Han Seo-yeon from our Daehan Construction's planning team. She's in charge of the Buka Resort project, which was personally assigned by the chairman." "Chairman, what do you mean Team Leader Park stammered, but Jun-woo cut him off decisively. His words sounded like a compliment, but the poison hidden within was clear. The project's notoriety was already widespread in the business world. His words were a clear signal that this woman is about to fail. The men who came with Team Leader Park immediately shot glances of ridicule and contempt at her. "There is no need for excuses. Team Leader Park. From the moment you assigned the Buka Resort project to team leader Han, and every moment you tried to test me through her, I was already receiving reports. Ah, you're handling that infamous project such youthful courage. One man sneered. Junwoo gestured to his secretary. The secretary connected a tablet PC to the large monitor in the center of the conference room. The screen was instantly filled with complex graphs and documents showing the flow of funds within Daehan Group. The very data Seo-yeon had tracked day and night, and even the evidence of the secret overseas slush fund that she had tried to confirm through Lee Min-ho's testimony was all there for everyone to see. It's not courage, but Team Leader Park's special interest and expectations. Right. Team Leader, another man said, giving Seo-yeon a quick glance as he flattered Team Leader Park. This is the data that Team Leader Han collected by herself. Without my orders, she uncovered all of this with only her own ability and her belief in justice. Junwoo nodded at Seo-yeon. There was no emotion on her face, but her eyes shone with deep satisfaction. Seo-yeon simply smiled without saying a word. Her heart rate was picking up, but she had already anticipated this entire situation. Instead of reacting to their attacks, she quietly listened to their conversation. Hidden within their mockery and jokes were bits of secret information related to Daehan construction. They saw her as insignificant, so they let their guard down, and their unguarded conversation provided her with important clues. But this report is fabricated. Team Leader Park screamed as a last resort. His eyes were on the report and the USB that Seo-yeon had submitted. As she listened, Team Leader Park upped the ante. Deputy Han, are you still working late? The Buka project is quite a challenge. You know, the company has high expectations for you. So don't disappoint us too much. Junwoo smiled quietly. That report and USB were a decoy created by Team Leader Han to turn your trap against you. The real evidence was in the place you thought was the safest. His words were a dagger to her back. He knew she had been digging for the truth for days and nights, and he was mocking her efforts. Seo-yeon lowered her head and said nothing. Her silence was a sign of her submission to them. Team Leader Park, satisfied, turned his back on her and continued his conversation with the others. When he finished speaking, the secretary displayed another file on the monitor. It was a record of all the emails and messenger conversations between Team Leader Park and his subordinates. It contained detailed information about their plan to slander Seo-yeon, the trap they set using Lee Min-ho and Lee Jung-hoon, and all their illegal transactions. Seo-yeon quietly left the area. She needed a place to catch her breath and clear her mind. Standing in front of a large window in a corner of the ballroom, she could see the glittering night view of Seoul. It was beautiful, but it also made her realize how small she was. Her small battle seemed meaningless in the vast city. All of this was made possible because I personally rigged a virus you planted on Team Leader Han's computer to automatically send everything to me. Every time you tried to hack her computer, you were only falling deeper into my trap. At that moment, she suddenly thought of the bar from the previous night. Forest of Silence, and the bartender there, Kim Junwoo. His warm and sincere advice calmed her heart once again. Why did I think of him? She thought with a bitter smile. In this glamorous and cold world, she was craving a moment of warm comfort. Team Leader Park was in shock and couldn't speak. He shuddered at the fact that Junwoo was several steps ahead of him. He had used every means to bring down Seo-yeon, but all his actions had only dug his own grave. Are you alone? Junwoo spoke with a cold and firm voice. Team Leader Park. Effective today, you are dismissed from your position as Executive Director of Daehan Construction. You will be held strictly accountable for all the illegal acts you have committed against Daehan Group. Secretary, call the security team and have Team Leader Park immediately escorted out of the company. A familiar voice. Seo-yeon turned her head. Her eyes widened. The man standing in front of her had an unbelievably familiar face. It was the same bartender who had poured her whiskey and offered warm advice last night. Kim Junwoo. Team Leader Park staggered to his feet. He tried to rush toward Junwoo and scream, but he was held back by the security guards who had already entered the room. He struggled, his eyes filled with rage as he looked at Seo-yeon. Han Seo-yeon, how dare you? But he was no longer in a bartender's uniform. He was dressed in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, and the overwhelming dignity and charisma he exuded seemed to overpower everyone else in the ballroom. His face was still calm, but his eyes were deep and sharp. He seemed to be seeing through everything in the ballroom, Seo-yeon ignored his furious screams. Her eyes weren't on Team Leader Park, but on the other executives who were now bowing their heads to her. There was no longer any mockery or contempt in their eyes. Only fear and respect remained. They knew now. Han Seo-yeon wasn't a mere deputy they had ignored. She was a powerful being who had uncovered the truth in the shadows of this great empire. Seo-yeon couldn't close her mouth. Her mind was filled with confusion. Why? Is he here? She tried to check his name tag again, but it no longer said Kim Jun-woo. Instead, it read, New Chairman of Daehan Group. After the meeting, Jun-woo called Seo-yeon into his office. He sat in his chair, looking out the window at the flashing lights of an ambulance in the distance. Team Leader Park. They say he collapsed from a heart attack. His voice was emotionless. In the end, he couldn't bear the weight of the truth. Deputy Han, right? Jun-woo asked gently. His voice was still low and soft, but it carried immense authority. Seo-yeon stood silently before him. Her mind was filled with a mix of emotions, victory, satisfaction, and an inexplicable emptiness. The end of her long and lonely battle gave her a sense of relief, but it also felt as if a significant part of her life had disappeared. Seo-yeon managed to pull herself together and nodded. Her heart pounded, and her hands trembled slightly. Yes, that's right. Her voice trembled. But yesterday, Team Leader Han, did you really not trust me? Jun-woo asked quietly. Yesterday was yesterday, and today is today. Jun-woo interrupted her lightly with a relaxed smile. His smile was the same as the night before, but at this moment, it seemed to hide countless secrets and power. It's all right. Yesterday, I was a customer to you, and today, this is a place where I welcome you as a guest. Seo-yeon hesitated for a moment. I wanted to, but I have been betrayed so many times. I was afraid that this all might be just another one of the chairman's traps. Seo-yeon was in deep shock at his words. He knew who she was, and that she was a deputy at Daehan Construction. So, their meeting last night wasn't just a coincidence. Why did he give her such advice? Countless questions swirled in her head. Jun-woo smiled at her honest answer. That is why I tested you. My meeting with you as a bartender was not a coincidence. I knew you had talent and purity, but I also thought that purity could be your weakness. So I pushed you into the most dangerous situation and let you find the truth with your own strength. It was to bring out the strength within you. At that moment, Team Leader Park spotted Jun-woo and rushed over. Chairman, you're still here. I was just about to introduce Deputy Han to you. Team Leader Park wore a flattering smile toward Jun-woo while simultaneously shooting a warning look at Seo-yeon. It was a silent pressure to not say anything unnecessary. What if I'd failed? Jun-woo glanced at Team Leader Park, then turned his gaze back to Seo-yeon. His eyes seemed to dismiss Team Leader Park, and his actions appeared to mock his arrogance. If you had failed, you wouldn't have trusted me, and I wouldn't have chosen you as my partner. But you showed me more than I had expected. You are my greatest shield and my most powerful weapon. Team Leader Park, it's all right. I've already recognized Deputy Han. Yesterday, I received advice from someone and was deeply moved. That person was Han Seo-yeon. Jun-woo stood up and walked toward Seo-yeon. He took her hand and looked into her eyes. Han Seo-yeon, you are no longer a being in the shadows. You are the key person who will lead the future of Daehan Group, and I trust you. Team Leader Park's face stiffened at Jun-woo's words, and Seo-yeon held her breath. The attention of everyone watching them turned to Seo-yeon. Their eyes were filled with surprise and curiosity. The new chairman, known to be arrogant and hard to approach, was saying he was moved by a mere deputy. His words made Seo-yeon's heart flutter. She didn't feel any arrogance or ulterior motives from him. She only felt his deep trust and respect for her. She knew now. This entire ordeal was a battle to prove her worth. And she had won. Deputy Han is indeed a special person. Even the chairman has recognized her. Team Leader Park tried to regain control of the situation. She nodded. Tears welled up in her eyes again. But this time, they were not tears of despair. They were tears of hope and gratitude. She had escaped the shadows of all the people who had ignored and trampled her, and was now moving toward the light. But Jun-woo ignored him again. He looked at Seo-yeon and said, It's a bit noisy here. Shall we go somewhere else for a moment? I have something to tell you. A new path was laid out before her. a great mission to rebuild Daehan Group, and a new beginning with a man who would change her life forever. The hour of judgment was over, and the time for reconstruction had begun. Their story was now starting a new chapter. His words were a suggestion, not an order, but no one could refuse. Seo-yeon, suppressing her confusion, followed Jun-woo. As they left, the ballroom was filled with the sight of team leader Park's stiffened face and the whispers of countless people. A new morning dawned. Daehan Group headquarters felt a strange calm, like the eye of a storm, accompanied by a tense silence. Employees gathered in small groups, whispering about team leader Park's dismissal and team leader Han Seo-yeon's Huo Yue. Those who had mocked and ignored her were now afraid to even look at her. Their eyes were filled with fear and a sense of helpless confusion. Seo-yeon didn't avoid their gazes. She was no longer swayed by their opinions. She had proven her worth, and it was time to walk her own path, not one defined by their judgment. Seo-yeon followed Jun-woo out onto the terrace of the ballroom. A cool breeze brushed her face. She was still confused. Chairman. Yesterday. Why? She couldn't finish her sentence. Seo-yeon's office was moved to the most spacious and luxurious one, right next to the chairman's office. The rising sun beyond the wide window bathed the Seoul skyline in a golden glow. She stood by the window, a cup of coffee in her hand, and gazed at the view. Until yesterday, she was a lonely shadow fighting in the dark, but from today, she was one of the people who would open the dawn for this city. And next to her was the man who had made all of this possible. Jun-woo didn't wait for her to speak and answered her question first. I don't trust people, especially not in this business. Everyone wears a mask and lives for their own benefit. But I wanted to see the real face behind the mask. So, sometimes, I take off my own mask and go out to see what I want to see. And yesterday, I saw your real face, Ms. Han, and that face was very much what I was looking for. You're an earliest team leader, Han. His words resonated deeply with Seo-yeon. She didn't feel any arrogance from him. His words only held the sincerity and earnestness of a man seeking the truth. Chairman Kim Jun-woo's voice sounded. He entered her office in a neat suit. His face was still calm, but his eyes shone with deep exhaustion and a new resolve. It seemed he hadn't slept at all, working all night to dismantle Team Leader Park's network and take care of the aftermath. None of this is a coincidence. Ms. Han, I came here to cleanse the widespread corruption in Daehan Group. And you hold the key that will allow me to begin that work. I know all the pain you have gone through, and I will help you. I will make your talent shine again and eliminate all the shadows that have tormented you. In return, show me the truth. You're even earlier. Chairman, are you all right? Seo-yeon looked at him with concern. He was no longer just her shield. She wanted to be a partner who could be a source of strength for him. His eyes were steady. He was proposing a deal. A dangerous yet captivating deal that would intertwine her life and his mission. Seo-yeon looked into his eyes and thought deeply. She didn't sense any ulterior motives from him. He was just a man pursuing truth and justice. And she, in turn, was a person looking for someone she could believe in and follow. Jun-woo gave a faint smile at her concern. I'm fine. Last night was a night of destruction, but today is a day of reconstruction. He sat down at her desk and turned on his tablet, PC. The screen was filled with complex data showing the financial status of Daehan Group and the current situation of each department. Chairman Kim Jun-woo's words plunged the conference room into silence. Team leader. Park's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. The expressions of the executives sitting next to him were also tense. They knew they were all deeply involved in Team Leader Park's corruption network, and they sensed that Jun-woo's gaze was on all of them. Their arrogance instantly turned into fear. Now, our real mission begins. The corrupt forces like Team Leader Park have been removed, but the wounds they left behind are deep. I want to transform Daehan Group from a simple construction company into a corporation that builds a new future based on trust and innovation. Jun-woo smiled quietly at her answer. Good. We will begin this war together. His eyes were full of conviction. He hadn't fought for simple revenge or justice. He fought for the true future of Daehan Group. And he had chosen Seo-yeon as the partner to build that future with him. At that moment, all the noise and lights of the splendid ballroom faded away, and only the two of them existed. One, a man seeking the truth hidden behind a mask, and the other, a woman stepping out of her shadow toward the light. The fateful dinner was the prelude to their new beginning. Team leader Han, I am offering you the position of head of Project Phoenix. It's a project to reorganize all the departments of the group, establish a transparent system, and find new growth engines. This project is about rebuilding all of Daehan Group. Only you can do this. On the cool night air of the hotel terrace, their gazes intertwined. Han Seo-yeon's eyes were still filled with surprise and confusion, but a new flame, a fire of hope and resolve, burned within them. Chairman Kim Jun-woo saw through her eyes, accurately reading the turbulent waves of emotion crashing inside her. He instinctively knew that she not only accepted his proposal, but also wanted to be a part of this great battle. Project Phoenix. The name reminded Seo-yeon of the mythical bird that is reborn from a great fire. It was like her own life. She had lost everything and turned to ash under Team Leader Park's harassment. But now she was given a chance to be reborn from that ash. The truth, is already in my hands. Chairman. Chairman, I don't know if I'm worthy of this immense mission. Seo-yeon's quiet voice was like the harbinger of a great storm to him. He realized that what she held was not just a simple suspicion, but concrete and decisive evidence. He believed in her. It was a trust born from her eyes and the pure passion and persistence she showed in digging for the truth for days and nights. Worthy is not something given to you. You make it yourself. You have already proven your worth. I believe in your talent, your strength, and the pure passion you hold in your heart. That is the only reason I chose you. Good. We will begin this war together. Junwoo stood up and walked towards Seo-yeon. He took her hand and looked deeply into her eyes. The reason I tested you yesterday was because I wanted to confirm that you were a person who could move forward believing in yourself, even if you didn't trust me. And you did not disappoint me. Now, please trust me, and let's move forward together. Junwoo's words were not a simple promise. It was a new mission entrusted to her, and the beginning of a contract that would intertwine their fates. He led Seo-yeon straight to his private lounge within the hotel. It was a space completely cut off from the outside world, where their conversation would be undisturbed. His sincere words deeply moved Seo-yeon. She no longer hesitated. She was ready to bet everything and face this great challenge. Junwoo's hand holding hers was warm and firm. His hand didn't just signify a contract. It meant the presence of a companion for life. Deputy Han, from now on, you are my only partner. Within Daehan Group, you are the only person who trusts me. So, please, tell me everything without hesitation. As they held hands and looked out the window, the sun shone even more brightly, illuminating the city. The shadows of the night were gone, and a new dawn was fully breaking. The history of Daehan Group had turned a new page, and on the first page of that chapter, the names of Han Seo-yeon and Kim Jun-woo were engraved together. They were no longer people trapped by past pain. They were the people who would build the future of Daehan Group. The people who would open the dawn. Junwoo handed her a warm cup of tea. His voice wasn't authoritative. It was filled with the respect he held for her as a partner. Seo-yeon calmly began to explain everything, from how she was assigned the Buka Resort project to all the evidence she had found while tracking Team Leader Park's corruption network. She handed him the USB, showing him the flow of funds from the dummy companies she had discovered, and Team Leader Park's secret bank account. 1 month had passed since Team Leader Park's dismissal. Under the leadership of Chairman Kim Jun-woo, Daehan Group began a major revolution. All corrupt forces associated with Team Leader Park were thoroughly eliminated, and their positions were filled by competent individuals led by Han Seo-yeon. Project Phoenix progressed smoothly, and the atmosphere in the group was filled with energy and hope. The criticism and mockery she once faced were gone. She was now known as the hope and future of Daehan Group. Jun-woo listened to her explanation without saying a single word. His eyes were sharp and cold. He carefully checked the evidence she presented and nodded at her analysis. It was much more rotten than I expected, he said, his voice tinged with bitterness rather than anger. He already knew about the widespread corruption within Daehan Group, but the evidence Han Seo-yeon had found was far more extensive and systematic than he had ever imagined. Late at night, Seo-yeon was reviewing the final documents in her office next to the chairman's office. Outside the window, the glittering night view of Seoul shone brightly. She thought of herself a month ago, when she felt all of this was impossible. In her hand were the documents for the dead project that Team Leader Park had given her to torment her. But now, those documents were no longer a painful memory. They were a symbol of a new beginning that had completely changed her life. Deputy Han, You have done something truly incredible. You have uncovered all of this by yourself, without anyone's help. This kind of truth is more valuable than any talent. Just then, the door opened quietly, and Junwoo entered. He had loosened his tie and wore a relaxed smile. Still not off work. Team leader, Han. His voice was as gentle and warm as ever. Seo-yeon was momentarily stunned by Junwoo's sincere praise. She had spent her entire life being a target of jealousy and false accusations because of her abilities. But now, his praise felt like an acknowledgement of all her pain and hard work. Her eyes welled up with tears. There were a few things left to finish. Chairman, Seo-yeon said as she stood up to greet him. From now on, I have 2 proposals for you. Junwoo's voice became calm and resolute again. First, you are no longer a mere deputy at Daehan Construction. Starting tomorrow, you will become the head of the chairman's direct strategic planning team. All reports from the board of directors and all departments within the group will now come to me through you. All this is within your authority. Junwoo looked at the documents in her hand and said, Now, you can throw those away. They are a symbol of the past. Seo-yeon gasped in surprise. Head of the strategic planning team. It was one of the key positions that would determine the future of Daehan Group. It was a position she, a mere deputy, could only dream of. It was clear that team leader Park and all the other executives would object to Junwoo's decision. No, Chairman. To me, these are not shadows of the past. They are proof of how much I've grown. Seo-yeon gave a faint smile. Second, all your actions will appear to be under my command, but all the decision-making power rests with you. You must eradicate all the corruption within Daehan Group from my shadow. I will be your shield. Junwoo was genuinely moved by her words. He lightly patted her on the shoulder. You always surprise me. Team leader Han, I have something to tell you. Junwoo looked straight into her eyes. There was no doubt in his gaze. He wasn't just assigning her a mission, he was showing her his unwavering trust. Seo-yeon hesitated for a moment. This proposal was a tremendous opportunity, but it also carried a great risk. She would become the target of team leader Park and all the corrupt forces. Junwoo led her to his office. They sat next to each other, looking out at the night view. Ms. Han, you were curious about why I disguised myself as a bartender, weren't you? His voice was serious, but her hesitation didn't last long. She believed in the strength within herself, and she didn't feel any arrogance or ulterior motives from him. He was just a man who wanted to fix this massively corrupt organization, and she, in turn, wanted to reclaim the fairness and justice she had forgotten. Yes, Chairman. To be honest, I still don't quite understand. Understood, Chairman. I accept your proposal. Seo-yeon's voice was firm and unwavering. She held out her hand to Junwoo, and he grasped it tightly. Their handshake was not just a business deal. It was a firm vow to confirm their trust in each other. Junwoo took a deep breath. Before I was appointed to Daehan Group, I knew how corrupt it was, but I didn't think it would be enough to just remove the visible corruption. I wanted to find a truly pure and capable person to help me rebuild this giant empire. The next morning, Daehan Group's headquarters was in shock. The news of Deputy Han Seo-yeon's sudden promotion to head of the chairman's strategic planning team was announced. No one could believe it. The very people who had mocked and ignored her were now filled with shock, anger, and jealousy. They thought it was all just a coincidence or the chairman's whim. So, you were a bartender. Team leader Park, of course, reacted the most violently. He immediately rushed to Junwoo's office to protest vehemently. Chairman, personnel decisions at Daehan Construction are my sole authority. How can you appoint a mere deputy, and an unproven woman at that, to such an important position? Yes, a bartender's position is one where you can see the true faces behind people's masks. People reveal their honest emotions when they drink. I saw the talent, frustration, and truth of countless people there. But someone like you, who fought with only justice and pure passion, you were the only one. Junwoo calmly faced Team Leader Park. There was no emotion on his face. Team Leader Park, personnel decisions at Daehan Group are no longer your sole authority, and Deputy Han's ability has already been sufficiently proven to me. I trust her. I am certain that her abilities will change the future of Daehan Group. Junwoo looked at Seo-yeon. His eyes were deep, like an ocean that could contain everything. That night, I saw you alone in the rain, in despair, and in your eyes, I saw a strength that would not be broken by any hardship. I instinctively knew that you were the person I was looking for to rebuild Dehen Group. So I intentionally approached you and tested you. I believed in your purity, but I wanted to confirm how strong that purity was. Team leader Park was speechless at Junwoo's resolute words. He left the office, suppressing his boiling anger. His face was a mix of fury and deep fear. He realized that Junwoo was behind her. He knew that his most powerful weapon, mockery and contempt, would no longer work against her. Seo Yeon's eyes turned red at his words. She was deeply moved by the fact that he hadn't just tried to use her abilities, but had put everything on the line to recognize her true worth and trust her. Seo Yeon began her first day as team leader. She was still a target for team leader Park and his followers, but her attitude had completely changed. She no longer bowed her head. She performed her duties with dignity and composure. Her desk was piled high with countless reports, and she began to find new clues to team leader Park's corruption network within them. Now, it's all over. Daehan Group has a new beginning, thanks to your efforts. Junwoo took her hand and looked into her eyes. His hand was warm and firm. Han Seo-yeon, you are no longer my partner. You are my companion. Her eyes were now like those of a hunter seeking light in the darkness. She wasn't driven by revenge, but by a desire for truth and justice. She trusted herself just as Junwoo had trusted her. She was no longer a lonely girl fighting a battle. She was a strong warrior reborn in a great fire, and that fire was being protected by a giant presence named Junwoo. Their contract had just begun. Seo-yeon's heart fluttered. She felt a deep and sincere emotion from him, something more than just a sense of camaraderie. His gaze seemed to promise that he would protect her and be with her for the rest of her life. Han Seo-yeon began her first morning as the new head of the strategic planning team. Her desk was moved to an office right next to Chairman Kim Junwoo's, on the top floor of the Daehan Group headquarters. Through the large window, she had a panoramic view of the Seoul skyline. The overwhelming view reminded her that she was no longer a mere deputy who had been harassed in a corner of the company. At the same time, she realized that she was now on the front line of a great war. She nodded. Tears welled up in her eyes again. But this time, they were not tears of despair. They were tears of hope and happiness. Chairman, no, Junwoo, I trust you, who believed in me, and I trust the future we will build together. Team leader Park's fury had already spread throughout the group. He openly expressed his discontent with Junwoo's personnel decisions at the board of directors and subtly leaked information about the Buka Resort project she was in charge of. He was convinced that Seo-yeon had gained the chairman's trust purely by luck or by the chairman's whim. He mockingly called her the chairman's new pet, making other executives and colleagues wary and distrustful of her. Their hands were held tightly. The night view outside the window shone even more beautifully, as if it were brightly illuminating their future. They were no longer alone. They had found new strength and hope in each other's presence. But Seo-yeon was not swayed by their criticism. She ignored the unnecessary noise team leader Park was making and focused solely on her mission. She used her authority as the head of the strategic planning team to access the financial reports and contract documents of all Daehan construction projects. She cross-referenced the list of shell companies and the flow of funds she had found in the Buka Resort project with the documents from other projects. She was no longer fighting alone in the dark. She had a massive power and intellect behind her. I was once alone, trampled and ridiculed by everyone. But in that despair, I met one person who believed in me. And with him, I rose again. We will open this great dawn together and walk side by side forever. Seo-yeon thought. Every evening, Seo-yeon reported everything she had discovered to Junwoo. Their meetings were strictly confidential. Junwoo's office was their fortress. There, they worked together to piece together the giant puzzle. Junwoo provided the big picture, and Seo-yeon, with her expertise and sharp analytical skills, delved into the minute details. Their new beginning started just like that. Look at this fun flow. Chairman. The budget that should have been used for the Buka Resort project was funneled to Taesung Construction, one of Daehan Construction's subcontractors. But the money was recorded as a payment for external cooperation, not for actual construction.